Okay, thank you and welcome. This Board of Trustees reconvenes for the regular board meeting of the Perris Union High School District at 5:10 p.m. Our next item is the invocation, 6.1. Before that, we are going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand. And after the Pledge of Allegiance, remain standing. Please place your right hand over your heart. Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stay. Now the invocation.
I'd like to have a moment of silence. We had 3 employees or former employees pass away this past summer. So it was a rough summer here, and in honor of Bernadette Lopez, Teresa Enzeris, and Tom Spielman, if we'd have a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Okay, our next item is an information item, 7.1, and it's the recess. And we are going to go into recess of this meeting at 5:11 p.m. to conduct the regular board meeting of the California Military Institute. Thank you. Okay, we're good. We are going to continue with our meeting, and the next one is item. That's true. Excellent. We are reconvening because we took a recess, right? So we reconvene with a regular board meeting of the Perris Union High School District at 5:30 p.m. And the next item is 8.1. It's an action item. Is the adoption and of the order of the agenda. Do I have a motion? So moved. 14.7. Before we even get the motion, we need to pull item 14.7 out of the agenda. Can you explain?
I thought we had to make the motion first, then we can make adjustments. Yeah, that's what.
That we agreed to pull out. Okay. So before we approve the agenda, we need to pull out 14.7. So we are going to make the motion to do that. Right.
I believe I made the motion. He was right in my hand.
Trustee Nelson and
Mr. Stafford was right in my hand.
Trustee Stafford. So we call for a.
And you don't have to call for a vote.
Okay, we call for a vote. Now we make the change. Okay. So before we approve this, we have the motions, and we are going to pull item 14.7 out of the agenda. Yes. Yes. Ready? Okay. Now we are going to vote. Can you please vote? Okay. Action item 8.1 has been approved 4-0. We go to the next item. It's an information item, 9.1, report out of closed session.
Yes, President Rouse, we do have one item to report out of closed session. In closed session, by a vote of 4-0, the Board of Trustees approved the settlement agreement for employee number 017396, school psychologist for Perris Union High School District, with an effective date of December 31st, 2017. The motion was made by Trustee Nelson and seconded by Trustee Rouse. That's completes the closed session report.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. The next item is also an information item, and it's a district update by our superintendent, Graham Bennett.
Thank you, Dr. Rouse. I have a few items I want to talk about this evening. I want to start out, I want to introduce Linda Kaufman. She's from Keenan and Associates, and she was going to come up and talk about something that's happened with our district. So, Linda, it's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. Can I make a correction to my name?
Yes.
Thank you. It's Lisa Kaufman.
Goff?
Lisa.
Oh, Lisa, I'm sorry.
But thank you very much for having me. You can call me Linda.
I called him Skip, so it's...
So good evening, board, superintendent, cabinet. Thank you very much for inviting me and allowing me to present this evening. I'm here on behalf of the Riverside Schools Risk Management Authority. It's the coverage for your workers' compensation. It's basically a pool providing your workers' compensation coverage. So I'm actually here to honor and present a certificate of recognition for your Director of Risk Management. If I could ask Judy Miller to join me. So I'm going to try and make this, I'm going to try to explain this in layman's terms. So there is something called an XMOD. And so in the insurance world, and when it comes to what you pay in work comp, there's a special formula that's applied, and it basically compares your district within this Riverside Schools Risk Management Authority and how you basically compare to your peers. And if you haven't worked with Judy before, she is quite a diligent risk manager. Knowledgeable and passionate. And I think it's that hard work that gives me the pleasure of presenting this recognition to her. She has had the lowest XMOD in the JPA for the last 5 years. What that XMOD does is it basically reduces your rate. So on average, 100% is your average. It's just saying you're an average employer when it comes to work comp. And I'm pleased to present Judy with a 53% XMOD, which means that you pay half. Should we come over here for pictures? No. Okay. Judy says no.
But I would like to take the opportunity to say something, because honestly, I do appreciate this, and I know, we have a great program, but I also want to thank, it's the board, it's cabinet, it's my boss, Candace Rains, who's allowed us to build this program. It's the culture in our district. It's everyone out here. It's every supervisor. It's every principal that works with us when we have a return to work program. It's not something that I've done on my own. So it's really kudos to the whole district, and I just want to make sure everybody understands that. So thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Lisa, for coming and sharing with us. So we've been in school about a week. I think we've had a great start to the school year so far. Kids showing up at class, being out at the schools the first day. Kids were in class in a hurry. Weren't a lot of hanging around and not getting kids placed properly. So it was great to see that happening. But prior to that, we had 2 wonderful days of professional development over at Paris High School. Tons of sessions. Kudos go to Charles Tippy for all the work he did to pull that off. So thank you, Charles. Let's give Charles a hand. We had 12. Each staff member had 12 different sessions that they could attend during the 2 days. So it was pretty amazing the offerings that we had. It was everything from human trafficking to professional learning communities to gangs and drugs and Google everything. So it was really cool to see, and it was great to see all the staff members. Our biggest challenge was parking at Paris High is a little challenging at times because of how small the lot is. But we did get a dispensation from over at the Paris Plaza Shopping Center. They let us use part of the parking lot. So we were able to shuttle people back and forth, so that was great. So overall, it was a great couple days put on by Ed Services. So we appreciate that. Starting out the school year, I was at Paloma the first day. They had a great pep rally out there when I was there in the morning to start out their school day. I went over to Heritage, and they have something what they called Legacy Camp they started. And we have some staff members here that are going to talk about it, but I want to share an email that we received on it. One of the teachers said, I wanted to share with all of you why these 2 days are a total success. I just met this kindest young man while carrying my planners to my classroom. A young man I have never met before ran up to me and said, let me carry those for you. He engaged me in a conversation. I learned his name is Jaden. He's a junior. He's excited for the school year, and he hopes to play basketball. He also asked who I was and what I teach, and he said he hopes he gets in my class. I have never met a student. Let me read her thing. I've never had a student I've never met before be so open, helpful, and genuine. This is truly the outcome of the investment we are making in the Legacy Camp. Thanks to everyone for all their hard work to make the Legacy Camp such a great success. So Heritage did that the first 2 days. And it was because of Mr. Arce is the principal of the school, but I think the brains of the operation are in the red there. So I want to introduce them to come up and share what happened in Legacy Camp. Tim Posley, Sarah Munger. Oh, I went to her maiden name. I'm sorry. They learned one name. Sarah Huerta and Renee Garcia and Delgadillo. I remember.
So, Camp Legacy was 2 days of predetermined lessons and activities for the entire campus to be working on at the same time. We designed Camp Legacy to help build a school culture focused on student involvement, building a legacy, and being the best student possible. It allowed teachers to connect with students and to help students feel welcome to the Patriot family. We wanted it to be fun. We wanted to show school spirit. And we wanted to expose students to instructional strategies that they'll see and need for the school year. Last year, our staff voted on those strategies, and we decided that self-reported grades and expectations and student conversations were going to be our focus this year. So we were able to take the 2 days of Camp Legacy and put in strategies that met those needs. And so we ordered planners for all students. We got them writing goals for the academic year. We talked about growth mindset, and they worked on collaboration and other student conversation skills.
The way we set up our week, we started on Monday with our freshman orientation with our Link Crew program. That went very well. We had about 500 freshmen there. So teaching 500 freshmen at one time is a fun and great experience, and our committee were able to work it no problem. The first 2 days of school, we did our Camp Legacy lessons, so we had lessons in various subjects, like Sarah was saying. We also did some fun things, like we took pictures of all the students from 10 through 12, and we'll catch the freshmen in their foundations classes in the gown and a sash so they can keep their eye on the prize. We also had them write a letter to themselves that we will match up with the picture at a later date, and when they graduate, we'll give them back the picture and the letter together. We had commitment to graduate banners that they all signed. They did their academic goals on stars, which will display across the campus. One of the sessions had at the end where they could do a motivational, inspirational poster graphic that they created on Google and submit, and we'll make those into posters and display those on campus as well. We had an alumni panel, TED Talk style, where they came back and gave advice and feedback on their experience and what they've learned and what they maybe appreciate now they didn't appreciate when they might have been in high school. So that was fun. The kids really liked that. Probably one of the most engaging things that they had. On Friday, we had a pep rally to round out the week, and we also, in Friday evening, had our legacy ceremony, which is a tradition in our football program.
We also had an outpouring from our staff and our students. We surveyed students and we surveyed staff, and we kind of got some testimonials together. We narrowed them down to our favorites. So we'll start off with what some students had to say about it. They were happy about the program because it set my mind that I have a goal and that I need to graduate. It showed me that you actually care about us was probably the simplest but the best one. It made me feel like I need to show my parents that I wore it for a picture, but I'm also going to wear it when I graduate. That was probably, Renee and I were reading them, and we started tearing up when we read that one. And then the Heritage Talks Alumni panel really gave me some perspective on high school It made me realize that I need to make the most of my years that I have left and to take advantage of every opportunity at Heritage. And then the last one, it reminds me of the reason why I continue working hard at school. And then we had teacher emails. We sent school-wide emails constantly, and teachers were outpouring in support and how much they loved the program. One teacher said, I have to say that out of all of my years in education, this includes my own years in primary and secondary. Never once have I experienced such excitement like today. And I have to pull out my phone because the other one's on my phone. I apologize. This is from one of our teachers also. It is my opinion that as teachers, any connection we make with students is a valuable asset that will pay dividends in the culture of our school. If that time spent is discussing college prep, goals, etc., then it's time well spent. I made an awesome connection with 36 students who I won't see in my classes the rest of the year, but then they know I am here as a tutor to help them in any way I can, and that my door is always open should they need help. Camp Legacy is absolutely worth it to me. As a committee, and we're sitting in the room and we're seeing these emails and reading the surveys, and it just really made us proud of what was put on at our school. And there was a buzz around the campus last week, and it started us off to one of the best school years I think I've ever seen there. And we put together kind of a little video recapping some of the big events that we did.
I just want to share a quick comment as a proud principal. When you work in schools long enough, you know that when there are great people that are willing to put things together, great things together for students, you just get out of the way and let those people do those great things. And so I publicly want to acknowledge Tim, Sarah, and Renee. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all your hard work putting this together, and it really does truly make an impact for kids. Thank you.
So much of when we're working with the kids is, you're trying to get them to do the work, and you're trying to get those other things, but until you have a great culture at the school and get them, you always go back to that saying, kids don't care until you show them how much you care about them. It's something like that. It's along those lines. I couldn't get the quote right, so I can't say names right. I called Sarah her maiden name from when she was a student of mine at Paris High School. but it's so important that culture at a school to do that, and seeing some of the things that have happened in our schools, I'm very proud to see that going on. Our nutrition service department had to go through a review this summer, and they were found in all areas in compliance, so congratulations to Audrey and her crew for making that happen. It's kind of an interesting thing. We received a letter of appreciation from the Department of Pesticide Regulation for Paris Union High School District facilitating, planning, and hosting a pest management workshop for the whole area. And they specifically named Art Fritz and Mike Slipich, thanking them for their hard work making that happen. So thank you guys. And some exciting to start out the year also is we finally got our new math textbooks that are Common Core aligned, and we're excited about that. So we're looking for great things coming from our math departments with having materials that are aligned to the Common Core standards. And that would conclude my report for tonight, Dr. Rouse.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bennett. So we are going to continue with our meeting, and our next information item is 9.3, PSEA President, Ms. Vicki Mueller.
Good evening, Dr. Rowe, Cabinet, our board and Cabinet, Mr. Bennett. It's been a long, long day. It was a long day. Thank you for, again, giving me this opportunity to speak. Gosh, another school year. I'm actually starting my 21st year teaching, and all of it in middle school. So what does that say about me? The start of the school year began with the PD days at Paris High School, and yes, parking was a challenge, and we appreciated the shuttle buses. Some were a little surprised that they parked at Jenny's and got the announcement to go move their cars. So, while many of the offerings were interesting and informative, I got some reports that people were in sessions they didn't pick, and they were just like wondering, how did that happen when there were so many to choose from, etc. And the other thing is that maybe we can expand and change some of them up next year because there's a lot of repeats. So overall, they said they got a lot out of it. Again, PSEA provided lunch for all teachers, and we found finally a taco guy, and everybody liked him. And it was a huge success. Hey, that's hard. You know as well as I do how hard it is to feed 400 and some odd teachers and please everybody. But they were happy. I heard from all sides, they said it was a very smooth start to the school year. They're curious to see what's going to happen at the 5-week mark because, of course, I've heard Paloma's down on enrollment. Other sites are up on enrollment. One site is way up on enrollment, so we'll see what happens. There were some questions about the new copiers, and we get that you want us to be a digital school. However, we are still a school, and copy machines that only allow one ream of paper and 3 drawers makes it a bit challenging at the start of the school year when you have got, 60 plus teachers trying to use 2 copy machines and only a minimal amount of paper that can fit in. Plus, they weren't hooked up at our school the first few days, so that made it challenging also. Again, the other thing that was questioning, and maybe you can get back to us on this, but this was brought up at my rep council last night. Where's the solar? They cut down all the trees months ago. Parking lots were all marked up. And here we are, 4 or 5 months later, and nothing's done. And there was a rumor they're going to start in September. I don't know if that's true after school has started, so that's just some questions that some people have. Other than that, let's hope it stays smooth. I'm loving my kids so far. So far.
Thank you, Ms. Mueller. CSEA President, Cinda Sarian.
Dr. Rouse, Superintendent Bennett.
members of the board, and cabinet members. Welcome, Mr. I'm going to call you Kirk because Grant's already butchered enough names tonight, and I don't want to butcher yours. So, welcome. It's good to see you here. Also, I want to stress on Vicky, Julie. What's your name again? Judy. She is wonderful. She's a wonderful person, and I just want to make sure, am I standing okay? How are my wrists? Am I good up here, Judy? Good. All right, I'm good. So I just want to touch on it's wonderful to be back. We had a great summer. We were fortunate enough for CSEA to have 4 delegates go to the Las Vegas conference that CSEA held, which I thought was going to be fun and games, and Lord and behold, I didn't have any fun time. It was 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night in conference every single day. They had 16 resolutions that we went through. Talk about how we go through resolution. They were this thick, Candace. It was crazy. So it was really a learning experience for me, and I thought it was really wonderful. CSEA funded the whole thing. We paid for it ourselves, and we went to that, and that was great. And the 4 delegates were Helen Steinmack, Josh Rushing, Alvin Hill, and myself, which was a great opportunity. To touch on that, I'm going to hit a little bit of I love technology. If people know me, they know I like technology. I like moving forward, expanding. But I need to touch on this online registration just a little bit, okay? Because before, we used to have parents come in and hand a packet. They hand a packet to us, we'd look at it, birth certificate, shot record, proof of residence, take the packet, thank you. Okay, with the online registration, we have parents that have no clue how to use technology. So now from something that took us 5-minute interaction is now taking us up to 20 minutes because now we have to sit down, hold their hand, and walk them through this process. Now, I'm not saying we need to stop it because I do believe in technology, and I do think when we need to come to something to get this to really get into where we need it to be. But as for right now, it has just been one hurdle after another. I mean, the time that it took us before to do registration is now like 5 times as long because now we have to sit with the parent for 20 minutes. Sometimes these parents are there, I swear to God, for like an hour, and I'm like, what are they doing over there, And I'll walk over, what's going on? Well, I don't know the answer to this one. And it's like, oh. And if not that, they have question after question. So if you don't sit with them, you're getting interrupted 1 minute after the other. So the best thing is to sit with them, which I don't have an issue with that, but what happens is everything else gets backed up. So we really need to figure out some strategy for this that we can proceed because I think it's great. I think it's great because we don't have to read sloppy handwriting for one thing. It gets put in the computer, it's done right. But on the other hand, it's like bombarded us with this workload. Besides sitting with them for that amount of time, we have to go at our computer now and process what they just did, which takes us another amount of time. So for something that was really quick and easy and we want to get rid of paper and save the trees, which we cut down for solar, did I hear? And we don't have solar yet? But okay, just kidding. Anyway, we need, and I know Kerry is like on top of it, and he's awesome, and we're having a debriefing about it, and I would think maybe somebody want to join the debriefing and just hear what's going on, and we can bounce off and try to get this going the way it should be going. I hear Hemet has online registration. They've been doing it for years. I would just love to know what's their secret, because for us, it's difficult. It's very difficult. But other than that, that's the only negative I have to say. I'm happy to be back. I know negotiations is going to be starting back up, or they're getting together. We're having an IBB training with admin and the CSEA team, which is great because we need to get that relationship going. I think that would be a wonderful thing. I just want to say also that I am going to bow out of negotiations. Through our Constitution, I'm allowed to have someone be there on my behalf, and I'm going to appoint Josh Rushing to be on the negotiation team for me. So other than that, I think it's going to be a great start to New Year. We got Camp Legacy was awesome. My school is I love the people I work with. They're a great bunch, and they really care about the students. And I really believe in the customer sizzling service, but it comes to a point where we need to get our work done. I can sit with the parent all day if you want, but my work is piling up back there. So hopefully we can come together and figure something out and get some strategy going and make this year even better. Next year, maybe even online be even better. But thank you very much, and have a great day.
Excellent. Thank you, Cinda. Okay, so our next item is invitation to address the Board of Trustees on agendized and non-agendized items. And this is when we have one speaker. So before I want to read the statement. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that the additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. Do we have something before, Mr. Mena?
Well, this is for a public hearing, so it should happen during the public hearing, shouldn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yes, so we wouldn't do this now.
We wouldn't do this. Okay.
That item on the agenda.
Okay.
Because it's a public hearing.
Okay, perfect. So this one is not for any agendized or non-agendized items. It's the 14.7, the one that we, for people. Yeah, the one that people had. Okay, all right. Okay, so we don't have any speakers then for this item. Okay. So we move to the next item, that is the consent calendar, action 11.1. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nelson. Trustee Twyman, second. Please vote. Yes. The consent calendar for today's meeting has been approved 4-0. And from 11.1, we went to 12.1, right? Yeah, because it was the consent calendar. Okay, the next one is an information item, 12.1, curriculum, and we have the attendance report.
And this evening, I'd like to ask our Director of Pupil Support Services, Mr. Pete Herman, to come up and present the board his presentation on attendance plan for this year.
Good evening, Dr. Arau, board members, Superintendent Bennett, Cabinet. It's my pleasure to be up here tonight to talk about Every Class Counts attendance initiative for the 17-18 school year. Every Class Counts is a slogan that we will be using to promote our program, the initiative. We will be talking about it with students and with parents, and I wanted to give you some of the details of the initiative. We have 2 goals. The first goal for Every Class Counts is that we establish and maintain a 95% attendance rate throughout the district for the 17-18 school year. And the second goal is to prevent students from becoming chronically absent, which is defined as students missing 10% of the school year or more for any reason, whether it be excused or unexcused. So if you take a 180-day school year, want to keep kids from being absent 18 days or more. Every Class Counts initiative, our focus will be prevention. I provided a definition there. Early intervention and intense intervention, depending on where students are with their attendance. So I'll provide some details as to how we're going to make this happen. Prevention. Positive incentives for students who come to school. I think it's really important to focus on the students who are meeting the expectations that we set. Students that create and establish excellent or satisfactory attendance will be rewarded. Excellent attendance is basically any student that is absent less than 1% of the school year. Satisfactory attendance is any student that is absent between 1 and 4.9% of the school year. To support sites will be responsible for developing their individualized incentive programs, and Pupil Support Services will support sites by providing each site $4,000 to come up with incentives that they have decided upon, and we will be funding it with that amount per site. The key to helping students come to school is early intervention. Students that miss instructional time are going to be required to make up missed instructional time either at lunch, after school, or on Saturdays. And again, that is something that each site will develop a program, a mechanism for which lost instructional time will be recovered. One of the things that we are going to do this year on a consistent basis throughout the district is that parents or guardians will have 3 days to clear a student from an unexcused to an excused absence. Basically, an unexcused absence is when a student is not in school and we don't have any reason, we don't know why they were not in school and it was not communicated to us from a parent or a guardian. After 3 days, if we do not hear from a parent or guardian, that absence will not be changed. So day 4 comes, parent sends in a note or calls, that absence will not be changed. They have 3 days to communicate that with the school, unless they can provide some documentation for the reason that they weren't there, and those reasons must align with one of the California Education Code 48205, which are listed there, which must comply with excused absences that are set by the state of California. And you can click on that link to see what those excused absences are. Continuing on with early intervention. Any student that accumulates 3 full days of unexcused absences, first step will be they will meet with the assistant principal and an attendance contract will be signed, developed and signed. Basically what this will be, we're going to refer to it as a pre-SART contract. A SART is a school attendance review team. As soon as a student has 6 unexcused absences, they do have a SART meeting. So this will be an intervention that will happen after 3, with the goal being to reduce the number of SART meetings that we need to conduct throughout the school year. So we're hoping that by jumping in earlier, meeting with students either in a small group or an individual basis, depending on how each site wants to do it, we're hoping that early intervention, getting students to develop a contract and have a voice in how that contract is developed, and then signing their name to a contract will hopefully be an effective intervention to prevent students to getting to that 6 unexcused mark that would require a formal SART meeting. Students that do get to the 6 unexcused absences will then attend a SART meeting, which are conducted by our attendance specialist. During that process includes the student and the parent meeting with the attendance specialist and them signing a contract, again with the focus on improving attendance and eliminating unexcused absences or absences of any kind. Intense intervention, we hope that we will reduce this significantly this year. That is called, that when we get to 9 unexcused absences, students will then have to attend a SARB meeting, School Attendance Review Board, and that is something that I facilitate. I have a panel, and these are the members of that panel. The focus of the SARB meeting is to have a conversation with students, with parents present, also including them in the process. And it's really to try to identify what is getting in the way of the student coming to school. A lot of times parents experience difficulties because students don't want to come to school. So during that time, we really try to get to the student, have the student identify why is it that you don't want to come to school. We try to offer remedies, interventions, resources to assist the students and parents to come to school. In order for this program to work and for us to get to the 2 goals that I've outlined, to me, these are the things that must happen. These are the non-negotiables. Each site must implement the plan with fidelity. I will be meeting on Monday, this next Monday, with assistant principals. I've already had 1 round of meeting with assistant principals and attendance staff at each of the sites in a small group setting where we've gone over the plan. But when I meet with the assistant principals, we're going to really drill down deep, show them exactly some of the things that they can do, give them a template of contracts that can be created to implement with students. And the plan is going to give each site the flexibility to personalize a program and a plan that meets the personality and the culture of their school, and something that the assistant principals and administration can really implement, something that they have that they will be able to create the direction on themselves. We really have to focus in on students that are absent for 5 consecutive days. These are kids who haven't shown up for 5 consecutive days. We need to find out where they are. So there'll be some site-based interventions that'll happen first. If we are unable to contact parents via some of the site-based interventions, the attendance specialists will go out and make home visits to find out where students are. When we make contact, those students and parents will have a meeting set up with me. They will come into my office, and we will have a discussion about attendance and what needs to be done to get students to come back to school the very next day. And then ultimately, one of the key components for this, in order for this program to be successful, is we have to implement a district-wide Saturday school program where kids could come in, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to make up for lost instructional time, to make up for work, to have teachers that are present that are there to be able to help them to complete their work and make up for the lost instructional time. Because at the end of the day, if a student's not in class, we can give them the assignment, but it's really hard when you don't have the instruction to go with it. So these are the keys to the program in order for them to be successful. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
To look in perspective at this project, what was the attendance rate for last year?
Last year, our attendance rate was around 92%. Right around 92, 93%. Right in that neighborhood, about 93%. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think 95% is accomplishable, and I'm hoping we can even exceed that. But we're gonna go for 95% and see if the next time I come up here in front of you, we can talk about having exceeded that. That's the goal.
And last year, I'm sorry, all right.
Yeah.
Last year, how many students did we have that missed 10% or more of the school year?
We were about 18% of our population that was above that number. Yeah. So that's definitely an area of focus that needs to be improved. So this is the plan on how to get there. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Okay. So that was our attendance report. Thank you. The next item is also an information item, general functions, quarterly uniform compliant report summary for April-June 2017. And go to the next one. The next one is the discipline report. This is a written report regarding the discipline for the June 2017. It's the monthly suspension report. Any comments or questions? Nope. Okay, just information. The next one is an action item. Is Resolution 11718, trustee compensation for missed meetings for Mr. Garcia. Mr. Bennett.
Yes, Mr. Garcia wasn't able to attend the February board meeting, and June board meeting. I'm sorry, I was thinking of something else. June board meeting. This is a resolution to compensate him because of his absence. He had a family emergency.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nellison. Trustee Stafford. Please vote. Action item 14.1 has been approved 4-0. 14.2 also is an action item and is certificated personnel action items. Mr. Bennett.
Yes, this is our new hires. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. We need to make a motion before Mr. Bennett address the items. Mr. Trustee Nellison, a second. Trustee Twyman. Okay.
These are our new certificated employees to the district for this coming school year that we've hired since our June board meeting. Some of these are ratified, some are people that are coming on right now. So this is our new staff for the year.
Any questions or comments regarding this action item? Okay, so if you can please vote. Okay. Action item 14.2, certificated personnel, has been approved 4-0. Mr. Van.
With that approval, I'd like to introduce one of our new technology, TOSA, for Pinacati Middle School and Paris Lake High School, Jonathan Sinnott. You can stand up, Jonathan. He says he's the better looking one of the twins, so yeah.
The glasses do it all, man.
That was all with that one, Dr. Rouse.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Next item, 14.3, is an action item also, personnel, classified personnel action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Nellison and Trustee Twyman. Mr. Bennett.
And again, just like our certificate, this is our new classified members we've added to our staff at the schools and at our district office, SSC, coming into the school year. Some of them are ratified, some are coming on new right now.
Please vote. That's right. The classified personnel action items 14.3 has been approved 4-0.
Yes, and with that, I would like to introduce, we have two new managers joining our district. We have a new Director of Fiscal Services, Alicia Fogarty. We stole her from Hemet Unified School District, and we're glad to have her join us. Alicia?
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, and Cabinet. I just want to thank you for this opportunity to come to Paris. I'm very excited to work for such an innovative school district and be part of your team. I would like to introduce some of my family members that are joining me here tonight. My husband, Mike, who probably doesn't need an introduction. He overtook the room, so I'll have to limit his visits in the future. My son, Austin, he's going off to UNLV next year to pursue a biochemistry degree. My daughter, Journey, who is currently attending Cal State San Bernardino, getting ready to enter the credential program to become a teacher, and her boyfriend, Gabriel. So thank you again. I'm really excited. Can't wait to start.
We're excited to have you, and I'm sure Candace is very excited to have you joining us soon. We have another manager join our district, our Assistant Director of Technology, James Heckman. We stole him from Harupa Unified School District. James?
President, Board, Cabinet, Superintendent, I'm just really excited to be here and look forward to this new challenge that awaits me here in Paris. I'm sad to see Harupa go, but I'm looking forward to the new changes in the new system. So thank you for having me.
And she's been here for a while, but I do want to recognize and have her come up is our new Coordinator of Mental Health Services, Dr. Rebecca Gelke.
Good afternoon, President Rao, board members, Superintendent Bennett, and Cabinet. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to be the coordinator of mental health services. As we developed the special ed department, it's grown over a number of years, and we've brought on therapists and different, we're looking at bringing on trainees as well. And so just thank you very much for the opportunity, and we'll be doing great things with our department. So thank you.
And congratulations to all of you, and welcome to Paris Union High School District. This is a great district. Thank you. Okay. Our next item also is a personnel item. It's an action item, agreement of employment for our new Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Do I have a motion? Trustee Nellison. Trustee Stafford.
Last month, we brought Mr. Skorpanich forward, and the board approved him as a hire, and this is bringing his contract forward to make it all official.
Any questions or any comments? No? Okay, please vote. Item 14.4, the agreement of employment for Mr. Skorpanich has been approved, 4-0. 14.5, again, an action item is personnel approval of site letter agreement 6/2015-18 between the Paris Junior High School District and the Paris Secondary Education Association regarding California Technical Educators. Do I have a motion? Trustee Stafford and Trustee Twyman.
Yes, this is a side letter we've worked on with PSEA. We had a grievance filed, and it was going to arbitrate, ready to go to PERB, really. And we were able to work with PSEA to come up with an agreement that was amenable to both sides. And we are recommending approval of this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Please vote. Item 14.5 has been approved, 4-0. 14.6, personnel item, board authorization to teach in a single subject area based on Education Code 44256, Section B. Do I have a motion? So moved. Trustee Nellison and Trustee Twyman.
Yes, this is an authorization. We have a few teachers at Pinacati Middle School that have multiple subject credentials, and we need them teaching in certain areas. This is the board given authorization to allow this teacher to teach the Project Lead the Way program. And the teacher's been teaching it for about 3 or 4 years now as it currently.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Any questions? No? Okay, so please vote. Okay. Item 14.6 has been approved, 4-0. 14.7 is also an action item, building and grounds, and we are going to have a public hearing regarding adoption of the alternative school fees as justified in the 2017 School Facility Needs Analysis and Resolution number 02-1718. Approval of a school facilities needs analysis, adopting alternative school facility fees in compliance with Government Code Section 65995.5 and 65995.6, as well as 65995.7. Adopting responses to public comments received and making related findings and determinations. And this is where we have this item. Before calling our next speaker, do I have a motion?
Dr. Rouse,
yes.
We actually have a procedure guide that we'd like you to follow. It's in front of you there. Dr. Rouse and Carolyn, as the clerk, you each have, as well as I have, certain things we'll need to read. As part of the procedure guide, it's actually going to include a presentation, and then it has a spot for the card that you have as well for our public speaker. So
during the presentation.
Yeah, there's one in front of her.
Okay, before we proceed, we have a motion. Ms. Trustee Nellison, do I have a second? Any second. Okay. Trustee Stafford, second. And I'm going to open it. Okay.
It's 14.7 now. When you read it, it says 14.8.
Yeah.
Call when you're opening.
Do I have to open? Yeah. Yeah, is what is coming here. Okay. For agenda item number 14.7, the Board of Trustees will now open the public hearing on the adoption of the Paris Union High School District's 2017 School Facility Needs Analysis, 2017 SFNA, and alternative school facilities fees in compliance with government codes, section 6599.5.5 and 6599.5.6, and as well as 6599.5.7 and Education Code, section 17620.
Copel and Gruber Public Finance has prepared the 2017 SFNA, which is now being considered for adoption in compliance with all applicable statutes and regulations pertaining to school fees. Copel and Gruber and district staff, we also have our attorney that helped with this here to answer any questions. We'll now explain how the 2017 SFNA was prepared. This is Doug Floyd with Copel and Gruber.
Thank you, Candace. Good evening, President Rao, Board of Trustees, Cabinet. Again, my name is Doug Floyd. I'm with the firm Copel and Gruber Public Finance. We assisted the district with preparation of the school facilities needs analysis. That's the report that's required in order to justify the alternative school fees and provide certain findings therein. I thought I would just provide some context and some background regarding what the alternative school fees represent. I do recognize there's new faces on the board, so these alternative school fees are fees that may be charged on new residential development, so they don't affect any of the existing housing. The intent of the fees is to help or partially offset the impact of new development on school facilities. When we talk about these school fees, there are different tiers. There's a level 2 fee that we'll discuss and a level 3 fee. The level 2 fee is intended to represent 50% of we'll call them permissible facilities costs and apply if the state is making certain apportionments for state funding. And level 3 applies if the state ceases to provide that funding. In order to levy the fees, a school facilities needs analysis has to be prepared, which we've done for the district. That provides the calculation of the fees. There's a certain methodology prescribed in the statutes. It generally states that in determining the fees, a projection has to be made of students attributable to new housing over the next 5 years. And that projection must be based on what we call historical student generation rates. What we look at is the average number of students residing in housing constructed over the last 5 years. It gives us a certain yield per household. And then we also work closely with the city planning departments as well as the county planning department in making a projection of units over the next 5 years. And based on feedback we've received from the planning departments, it's expected that district-wide we could anticipate around 10,000 units. And using those student generation rates that I just talked about could possibly generate about 1,200 new students to the district. And that's just out of new housing. Once we come up with a projection of those students, we then evaluate whether or not there's available capacity at the school district's facilities to accommodate those students. There's a specific methodology for determining capacity in the statutes, and then we look at what the district's current enrollment is and assess whether or not there are seats available. In this district's case, there are it's considered to be a deficit capacity, so that there's really no adjustments to those projected students over the next 5 years. And then the next step of the calculation is to assign certain permissible costs to those students. Those include per pupil grants that are established by the state each year, as well as up to 50% of site acquisition and site development costs. In this district's case, the district owns 2 sites already for a proposed middle school and a high school, so we're actually not including site acquisition costs in the calculation. This district is fairly unique, and we actually calculate 2 separate fees. And the reason why is because within the Paris Elementary area, the school district provides for grades 7 through 12 students, whereas in other districts, it's just at the high school level. So you'll see in the study there's two separate fees. Based on the determinations in the SFNA before you, we've justified a fee of $1.10 per square foot for areas outside of the Paris Elementary area, and $2.09 for areas within Paris Elementary. And I'm going to go in later into, we've actually made some adjustments to those numbers based on discussions with the Building Industry Association, who I believe will be speaking later tonight. With that, I think if there's any questions. Okay.
Thank
and
you,
then
sir.
You'll have to go to I'm going to kind of walk you through the next steps.
Okay. Has the district received any written comments as to the proposed 2017 SFNA? And if so, have such comments been forwarded to and considered by all board members present as included in the agenda materials for this meeting?
Either Stephen, number 0, or number 2. What?
Oh, okay. Read this.
Yes, written comments have been received and forwarded to each board member. These comments are included in the board agenda packages for this meeting.
Okay.
Can I?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Wendy, do we need to have them revise that statement since that we just received them tonight, so they had not been forwarded? Yes. Can you advise on that, please? Okay.
At the time the procedure guide had been prepared, it was not known whether the board would be receiving any written comments. And as the board meeting was beginning this evening, written comments were provided. Since you haven't actually had them in your agenda packet, we would have them written into the record. So we'd have the clerk read the letter that was the written response from the BIA, and then the written response from Koppel and Glover.
Would it be all right if our vice president read the letter? Okay.
What I have is a letter from the BIA, Riverside County Chapter, Building Industry Association of Southern California. And regarding PUHSD July 14th, 2017 proposed school facility needs analysis, the SFNA, fee increase. Dear President Arau, the Building Industry Association, BIA, respectfully submits the following comments regarding the Paris Union High School District's school facility needs analysis, SFNA, dated July 14th, 2017, prepared by Koppel and Gruber. Public Finance, SFNA consultant. We have several concerns with government code compliance of the assumptions and methodology used to justify the proposed Level 2 fee of $2.09 for units within Paris Elementary School District and $1.10 for units in all other areas served by PUHSD. We would like to note that PUHSD staff and consulting team gave us the opportunity to discuss our concerns with them. The BIA thanks the district team for addressing our comments. Local funds required to be considered in the SFNA. Government Code Section 65995.6b requires the local resources are available to finance the construction of school facilities needed to accommodate any growth in enrollment attributable to new development planned within the district in the next 5 years. Appendix H provides analysis of available local funds and notes that both the middle and high school site are owned by Paris Union High School District and therefore should not be included in the calculation of the school fees. This methodology follows government code intent, and BIA Riverside County Chapter supports this assumption. General obligation bond credit. Appendix H includes analysis of general obligation bond funds and assumes funds are unavailable to reduce impacts from new development. Measure T was approved by voters in 2012 to provide funding for improving classrooms and science labs and upgrading campuses. Importantly, the bond project list includes construction of Menifee High School to reduce overcrowding and accommodate growing enrollment. The district website identifies the use of the general obligation bond funds for the construction of both the new high school and the middle school. All homes within PUHSD, including new development, will be subject to taxes that will repay Proposition T bonds. As we understand from talking to school district staff, there are unissued funds authorized by Proposition T due to lack of assessed valuation within PUHSD. The new high school campus is master planned for 2,600 students. The SFNA indicates that 1,039 seats are required to house students from existing homes, and 997 seats would be required to house students from new development in the next 5 years. The new middle school campus is master planned for 1,000 students. The SFNA indicates that 58 seats are required to house students from existing homes, and 217 seats would be required to house students from new development in the next 5 years. Both new campuses would provide more than enough capacity to relieve overcrowding at existing schools and to address the needs of students from new development. As we understand from district staff, both projects have completed the planning phase and construction plans have been approved by the Department of State Architect. Construction of approximately 10,000 new homes that is expected to occur over the next 5 years would allow PUHSD to proceed with construction of the new school facilities. New development would contribute to the capital budget in several ways. With new home construction, the assessed valuation within PUHSD will likely increase, giving the district the opportunity to issue government obligation bonds authorized by Proposition T. According to district staff, new local capital funding would also serve as the match for the state funding application for the new middle school. New development will also be subject to school fees assessed by PUHSD. Our goal is to ensure that fees assessed by all local agencies are fair and that new homeowners are not being asked to pay for the same facilities twice. It is our hope that as an additional local and state funds generated by new development and district-wide become available, that future SFNA will consider them in calculation of school fees. Lower school impact fees would contribute to continuous construction of new homes and resulting capital benefits for PUHSD. State funds. Appendix H also analyzes the state fund that will be available to offset the cost of school housing for currently unhoused students and unhoused students from new development. The SFNA estimates that $36 million in state funding would be available. According to the Office of Public School Construction, PUHSD submitted a state funding application for $50 million in January 2017. Based on our conversation with district staff and consulting team, we understand it may take several years to secure these funds and hope that future SFNAs will consider them in calculation of school fees. Enrollment from California Military Institute. California Military Institute is a charter school that enrolled 1,041 students in 2016-17 school year in grades 5 to 12. High school enrollment included 503 students in grades 9 through 12. Middle school enrollment included 347 students in grades 7 and 8. And elementary school enrollment, 191 students in grades 5 and 6. We appreciate that following our inquiry, district staff and consultant agreed to modify the SNFNA to exclude students enrolled in grades 5 through 8 from calculation of school fees. Thank you, Clint Loramore, Director of Government Affairs.
Okay, since we received written comments, at this time the board shall discuss all written comments it has received concerning the 2017 SFNA. Has the district staff prepared responses for such written comments?
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Doug.
I'll address that. Yes, my firm, Koppel and Gruber Public Finance, has drafted a response already. The board will have to read that response. So.
Bear with me, please. All right. In my hand is a letter from Koppel and Gruber to Mr. Clint Loramore, Mr. David Daslich, Building Industry Association of Southern California, Riverside County Chapter. And this is regarding response to Paris Union High School District 2017 School Facilities Needs Analysis Concerns. Dear Mr. Lorimore and Mr. Deslich, we appreciate the Building Industry Association, BIA, taking the time to review and comment on Paris Union High School District's School Facilities Needs Analysis dated July 14, 2017, which will be considered 2017 SFNA, in the letter of August 16th, 2017, the BIA letter. In response to the BIA's letter, which outlined the BIA's concern and recommendations related to the district's 2017 SFNA and the Level 2 and Level 3 fees, collectively referred to hereinafter as alternative school fees, determined therein, we submit the following comments in response. Number 1, the BIA expressed concerns regarding the inclusion of grades 5 and 6 students attending California Military Institute in the determination of the alternative school fees. Koppel and Gruber Public Finance, KNG Public Finance, has reviewed enrollment records provided by the district and also enrollment information from the California Department of Education. A total of 191 grades 5 and 6 CMI students, hereinafter regarded as the elementary CMI students, were identified in the enrollment information used in the 2017 SFNA. Removal of the elementary CMI students from the alternative school fee determination will result in a reduction of the Level 2 fees from $2.09 per square foot to $2.08 per square foot for units within the Paris Elementary School District, PESD, area, and from $1.10 per square foot to $1.09 per square foot for units outside of the PESD area. Accordingly, KNG Public Finance's recommendation to the Board of Trustees of the district will be to approve the 2017 SFNA and adopt Level 2 fees in the amount of $2.08 per square foot for units within the PESD area and $1.09 per square foot for units outside of the PESD area. Number 2, to the concern regarding application of potential state funds as an available source of funds to offset the impact of project units, Government Code Section GC, Section 65995.6b requires that when determining the funds necessary to meet its facility needs, the SFNA identifies and considers 1, any surplus property owned by the district that can be used as a school site or that is available for sale to finance school facilities, and 2, local resources other than fees, charges, dedications, and other requirements imposed on residential construction available to finance the construction or reconstruction of school facilities needed to accommodate any growth in enrollment attributable to the construction of residential units projected over the next 5 years. In addition, GC 65995.5C2 requires that the district subtract the full amount of local funds that the governing board has dedicated to facilities necessitated by new housing from the amount determined pursuant to GC 65995.5.1. An analysis of the surplus property and local funds required under GC 65995.6b is included in Appendix H of the 2017 SFNA. The local funds analysis, among other items, conservatively considers potential school facilities funding from the state, in part because the California Public School Facilities Bond Initiative, also known as Proposition 51, was approved by the voters on November 8, 2016, which authorized the issuance of $6 billion in bonds, of which $3 billion was designated for the construction of new school facilities. Inclusion of the potential state funding in the local funds analysis was intended to identify, recognize, and consider this source of funding and was estimated using current school facilities program per pupil grants adopted by the State Allocation Board. However, at this time, the state has not issued bonds, nor has the district received apportionments for new school facilities project under the Proposition 51 authorization. Furthermore, there are no guarantees to the district of future funding or the actual amount to be apportioned by the state for new school facilities projects. Therefore, until such time the district actually receives funding from the state, it will be deemed imprudent to dedicate potential state funding amounts to offset the amount determined pursuant to GC 65995.51. Number 3, with respect to the use of general obligation debt in satisfaction of the statutory school threshold test set forth in GC 65995.5B3C, and as prerequisite to the collection of alternative school fees, but not in the application of local funds, the requirement set forth under GC 65995.5B3 is met if the district has issued debt or incurred obligation for capital outlay in an amount equivalent to 30% or more of the district's local bonding capacity. The debt amounts considered in the determination include various outstanding general obligation debt issued by the district and are, for the most part, reflective of the outstanding principal owed by the district to repay the debt. General obligation debt, as it relates to potential local funds, does not reflect the amounts to be repaid to the debt holders, but rather proceeds from sale of general obligation bonds currently available to be used for the authorized purpose of the bonds. Appendix H of the 2017 SFNA addresses the various general obligation bond issued by the district and notes that as of the date of the 2017 SFNA, bond proceeds from the sale of general obligation have already been spent and have been committed to projects serving existing enrollment. Thank you for your review of the 2017 SFNA and your correspondence outlining the BIA's concerns and recommendations. If you have any questions in the meantime, please do not hesitate to contact our office at 760-510-0290. Sincerely, Douglas Floyd, Koppel and Gruber, Public Finance.
Thank you very much. Very well done.
Should I take a bow for all that?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nellison. Now this Board of Trustees will entertain a motion to adopt the prepared response or responses from the district staff as the board's written responses to each of the written comments it received. Do I have a motion to approve or to adopt the prepared response?
I move to adopt the prepared response as the board's written response.
Thank you, Mr. Nellison. Do I have a second?
Anybody want to take number 2? I second that motion.
Trustee Tony Stafford? Okay. At this time, the board shall discuss before, Is there anyone present? Second motion is put upon. Before doing this, we have the first motion by Trustee Nellison, second, Mr. Stafford. We can please vote. Okay, this is it's an oral vote.
Yeah, we just need you to take an oral vote to approve this as the response to the letter we received.
Okay.
You don't want to approve it quite yet.
Do
Okay.
you want to approve the response?
The response that we have. Trustee Stafford? Yes. Trustee Twyman?
Yes, I vote to approve. And yes for me?
And yes for me. Lori, I click yes on the overall. Do we put it on hold, or how can we return? Okay. Very good. Let's go through this. Is there anyone present who wishes to provide oral comments on the proposed 2017 SFNA or the SNFA resolution? If yes, we have one. And do I need to read this? I don't know. Probably not, right? Because we already did it. Okay. Perfect. Clean Lorimore, please come forward at this time. State your name and address your comments to the board.
Thank you, Dr. Rao, board members, staff. Appreciate you taking the time to hear us out today, and also Dr. David. I see a D there. Mr. Nellison, you should take up a career in radio or something. So that was awesome. My name is Clint Lorimore. I'm the Director of Government Affairs with the Riverside chapter of the BIA. Reading these letters out loud and the responses, it's very dry, but it does mean something. What we're talking about here today on a new home of 2,700 square feet, with these fees, adopting them, that will be an increase of just over $1,000 per door. That increases the cost of housing in a time where we are in a housing crisis in this state. If you open the paper any day of the week, there is an article talking about this housing crisis. In California, we need to build, we are currently building 80,000 homes a year across the state. We need to build 180,000. The cost of land, there are many different things that go into the development of a project, whether or not it pencils out, whether or not it makes sense. And the cost of mitigation. We're not doing this here in a vacuum. There are many other agencies that also have fees that they bring forward. The average cost, not including this $1,000 increase, is $60,000 per door before a shovel even hits the dirt. That's to build a new home. And that's paid to government agencies. Developers want to build. We absolutely do. We want to help solve this housing crisis. But we need your help. We need you to come and work with us to make that happen. Now, I can go through and list one other thing on this point, and that is that in the area that you have the crossover with Paris Elementary, combining these two fees, level 2 fees in both districts, that would make this crossover area the most expensive school district within Riverside County in order to develop it. And that would be, I did the quick math, $14,769 per door. So keep that in mind, please. Going through, what's in it for you, though? And that's the important thing. You guys, I understand, you're focused on the kids. And you're focused on the facilities. We understand that. But by putting barriers to development, then you also bring in those 10,000 homes that are projected. Okay. Thank you. If you would just bear me less than a minute. No. I appreciate it, and I understand you doing that. But thank you. Those 10,000 homes, they won't come. They just won't. And if with the current fee, if you move forward and you base it on the level 1 fees that you have right now, the difference between the fees at $1,000, that's $35 million if we go through here and talk about these $45 million in mitigation fees that will come to the district. However, if we increase the fee, there will be more money, but there will be less development that will come through. So, in turn, less money. So, those are some of, and I appreciate Mr. Nellison's reading of this, brought forward some of my points and let me go on this other tangent. But we are really in a housing crisis, and we want to work as partners through this process. And we do appreciate staff and the consultants working with us to address some of our concerns prior to coming here. So thank you. And I'd be happy to take any questions, but thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Does any board member, district staff, or Coppel and Gruber wish to respond to these comments? Okay. So I will skip then the next one because there is no motion to accept if there were no comments, right? Okay.
motion to adopt this one. Okay. The board now will entertain a motion to adopt the oral responses of the board members, district staff, and or Copeland Gruber as the board's responses to each of the oral comments received. And we don't have any, but we have a motion to adopt no oral response.
I motion we adopt the oral responses as responses of the board. Even though we didn't have that.
Second. Mr. Nellis, Trustee Nellison makes the first motion. Mr. Trustee Stafford second. Now we are going to vote. It's an oral vote. This one. Trustee Stafford.
Yes.
Trustee Twyman. Yes. Trustee Nellison.
Yes.
And I vote yes. If there are no more written or oral comments, I will now declare this public hearing closed at 6:53 p.m.
Copeland Gruber Public Finance reviewed updated information concerning the calculations in the 2017 SFNA, and in response to this information will be making recommendations for adoption of alternative school fees in an amount different than that contained in the 2017 SFNA. Copeland Gruber will now explain their recommendation for adoption of the 2017 school fees and the anticipated revisions to the 2017 SFNA to be amended and readopted at a later board meeting date.
Thank you, Candace. So my comments were part of the response read by Mr. Nellison, but effectively after having a discussion with the Building Industry Association and with district staff, we did adjust the SFNA by excluding those CMI students at the grades 5 and 6 level because those are considered to be elementary students by the program. With that, as part of the resolution, we're asking the board to adopt it with the following amendments. Under Section 26A, we're recommending that the dollar amount be changed from $2.09 to $2.08 per square foot of accessible space. And under Section 26B, to change the dollar amount from $4.18 to $4.16 per square foot. Furthermore, under Section 27 of the resolution, we're recommending that the dollar amount change from $1.10 per square foot to $1.09 per square foot, and then under Section 27B, from $2.19 to $2.18 per square foot based on those adjustments. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. The next item under the agenda, item number 14.7, is to adopt resolution number 02-1718 as amended and recommended by Copeland Gruber Public Finance entitled Resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Perris Union High School District approving a school facilities needs analysis, adopting alternative school facility fees in compliance with Government Code Section 6599.5.5, 6599.5.6, and 6599.5.7, adopting responses to public comments received and making related findings and determinations. That is the title. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2-1718 as amended, as recommended by Copper and Gruber?
A second.
Trustee Stafford, Trustee Nellison second. Okay, now please vote. We are going to vote on the computer to adopt this resolution.
You've already voted.
Yes. Okay. Action item 14.7 has been approved 4-0. So we go to the next item. It's also an action item 14.8 business agreement for consultant services with Public Finance Strategies LLC, DBA TVWB Strategies, funded through capital facilities, proceeds from CFDs 91-1 and 92-1 and the general fund. Do I have a motion? Trustee Nellison and Trustee Twyman.
This stems from our special board meeting that we had in July, where the board had directed us to do a feasibility study to see if a bond would make sense. And this is the organization that we used previously when we did Measure T, and they've recently done the bond feasibility studies for both Paris Elementary and Menifee Union. So we're recommending to use this group to help us with our feasibility study.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Any comments or questions?
Is there a cap on this, or not to exceed a certain amount?
It's like I did all that talking and I lost my voice. It's $6,000, per month. We can terminate it if at any point during the feasibility study, such as if we were to decide to do polling, if something were to look like we should not move ahead, we would terminate the contract. So it's only while they're doing the work. Or if the feasibility study proves positive and the board decides to place a ballot or a bond measure on the ballot, then their contract would cease at that time as well.
So what's the history of, we've done these studies before, I'm sure. What's the length of time it took? What's the history?
Well, when we did this the last time, we actually started in 2009 and went through 2012, so it was a more lengthy study. The intention here would be to be looking for the November 2018 election, so we would be talking just a little over a year.
Okay.
And actually, you would put this, should you decide to put this on the ballot, you would take that vote, I don't have the precise day, but it's right around the first week of August. So it's really only, it's really only a year of fees, and then the committee would take over.
Okay, thank you.
So that would be the maximum. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? No. Okay. Please vote. Action item 14.8 has been approved, 4-0. 15.1, item 15.1 is an information item, business revolving cash report for the month of June 2017. 15.2 also is the revolving cash report for the month of July 2017. The next item is 15.3, is an action item, board policies, personnel series 4,000. Do I have a motion? This is action. I'm sorry, that's an error. Oh, that's fine. We'll make the information. Yeah. Okay. So information item. We go to the next item. This one is an action item. For sure, 16.1 and is to close a session if necessary.
Not necessary this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. We didn't go to closed session, so we are not going to reconvene. The next one, action item 18.1, discipline reinstatement of student discipline matters. Do I have a motion? Trustee Nelson and Trustee Twyman. Have any comments or questions?
These are the students that have been previously on expulsions and have been placed either at the academy and or Riverside County Office of Education. They had a rehabilitation plan in place. Mr. Herman met with these students to determine if they've met the criteria from their rehabilitation plan, and they're being brought back to the district.
Any questions for the board? Okay, please vote. Action item 18.1, discipline, has been approved, 4-0. The next one, 19.1, other items by the superintendent.
No other items this evening. Thank you, Dr. Rouse.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bennett. Other items by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Stafford. Trustee Twyman. Okay, thank you. And the last item, 21.1, is an action item to adjourn this regular meeting of this Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion? Trustee Nelson, second. I'm sorry. Ms. Twyman, second. Please vote. Okay, this action item has been approved, 4-0. And this meeting is adjourned at 7:02 p.m.